Hey there, I wanted to give you a mini episode with updates about Genie Plus and the Lightning Lanes. I promised I would give you the hacks for getting an early Lightning Lane return time for Slinky Dog Dash after my recent foibles at Disney World trying to get an earlier time and failing. I've had some readers email me and give me advice and that has worked for them, and I think I now have the method for getting an earlier time. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, I suggest you go back and listen to my earlier episode all about Disney Genie Plus, where I walk you through kind of what it is, how it works, and then you'll have wrapped your mind around it, and this is more of an advanced method here. So if you're going to Hollywood Studios and you want an early return time for the Lightning Lane reservation for Slinky Dog Dash, this seems to be the method that is working for people right now. First, you have to use Disney Genie, which is the free version of Genie Plus, to select Slinky Dog Dash as the attraction that you're most interested in doing for the day. So when you're in My Disney Experience, you'll go to Get Started Now or Summon Disney Genie. It varies depending on where you are within the app, but you want to access Disney Genie, which is just basically a park planning tool within My Disney Experience. So when you do that, you can summon Disney Genie, and then the Genie will ask you what you're interested in doing at the parks. And so you'll want to navigate to Hollywood Studios, and you're able to select certain attractions that you want to prioritize. So only select Slinky Dog. Of course, you're interested in doing other things, but when you select Slinky Dog as the thing that you're interested in, it will essentially pin it to the top of your tip board. And that is the way to have it right there at the top so you can get to the earlier times for the Lightning Lane. So select Slinky Dog as the only thing you're interested in. That will pin it to the top. Then at 7 a.m. on the nose, you should be in the tip board section of Disney Genie Plus now, and Slinky Dog will be right there at the top. The second that the time changes on your phone to 7 a.m., you tap tip board. That will refresh the page, and it will bring up the earliest return times for Slinky Dog right there at the top, and you tap them. It'll show you the option for the time. Tap it. That will grab it for you, and then you can select the people in your party and reserve the Lightning Lane reservation. So I had someone do this recently, and they got a 10:30 a.m. I'm sorry, there's a plane flying overhead. They got a 10:30 a.m. return time for Slinky Dog. Considering that the first times were at 9, that's a very early return time. So this only matters if you're park hopping and you want to be at Hollywood Studios in the morning, whereas an afternoon return time isn't going to work for you for Slinky Dog, or if you're leaving, it's your last day at the parks and you're leaving in the afternoon to fly home or what have you, then you want that early return time. So those are the two things that you must do. Essentially pin Slinky Dog to the top of the tip board, and then tap tip board to refresh the page in the morning. Don't try to pull down or refresh it some other way. Tapping tip board the second that it turns 7 a.m. will refresh it, and then you can get the early time. So a couple of other things I want to mention. There's this myth going around about that you can't stack reservations in Disney Genie Plus anymore, and I don't know where this is coming from, but you can, and you always have been able to do this with this type of system. So this goes back to paper fast passes years ago, and the Max Pass system at Disneyland, which is what this current Genie Plus Lightning Lane thing is based on, which I have used on a trip to Disneyland years ago. So all the stacking reservations means is that you're using this 120-minute rule to make additional reservations later in the day. And you'll have to go back and listen to that episode if you don't know what I'm talking about. But this is a scenario where you might want to stack reservations for later in the day. Is that you're park hopping to a different park in the afternoon, or you're taking a big break in the day, and you're going to be at the pool at your resort, and you want to be able to go back and use Genie Plus later in the day. Or if it's your arrival day and you're not getting there till later in the day, you can't use times in the morning, but you want to be able to use your Genie Plus later in the day. So what you'll do is at 7 a.m., you can start making reservations, and you can pick one for later. Well, it won't be later in the day at that point. Let's say you're park hopping. So you're picking reservations for earlier in the day. After 120 minutes have passed after the park opening, so say you make your first Lightning Lane reservation at 7 a.m., you make it for later in the morning, then at 11 a.m., which is then 120 minutes after the park opens at 9, say, then you can make another reservation, even if you haven't redeemed that first reservation. So you could make a reservation for later in the afternoon. Then at 1 p.m., 120 minutes after the 11 a.m., you can, even if you haven't redeemed that reservation, make another one for later in the day. At 3 p.m., you could make another one for later in the day. And that's how you can get 3 reservations for later in the day at, say, a different park. And I've done this on 2 occasions, once this month, and then back in November as well. So yes, you can stack reservations, but you only really want to do that if you can't use the morning times for some reason, or if you want to have those reservations for later in the day. There was one other thing. Other thing I wanted to address about Genie Plus is that yesterday they added 4 new attractions to Genie Plus, and I have already updated the post on the website. Just go to thebudgetmouse.com, and it's the first post there on the site. They've added some character, what we used to call meet and greets, but now they call character sightings, because you don't actually meet them. You don't get to hug them or get autographs, but you can see them and take pictures with them in the background. But there are 3 at Magic Kingdom that were added as options in Genie Plus, and it's meeting Cinderella and a visiting princess at Fairy Tale Hall, meeting Tiana and a visiting princess at Fairy Tale Hall. Those are the 2 separate entrances to meet princesses at Fairy Tale Hall, which is right behind Cinderella Castle. Also meet Mickey at Town Hall, and the wait times to meet Mickey have been pretty low in general, so that might not be a high priority for you, because generally the standby queue is quite short to meet Mickey. I don't know why, but it is. And then one at Hollywood Studios to meet Olaf at the Celebrity Spotlight. So just adding more value to Genie Plus, and I like that those are at the 2 parks that I'd recommend getting Genie Plus for, and it just makes it more valuable and more appealing to use it at those parks. So I hope this little update was helpful for you, and have a great day.